So a lot of people get very frustrated when they're reading and they don't actually, they feel that like they're not making any progress at all. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can get noticeably better at reading. And what I mean by noticeably is you pick up the same book that you've read before and you actually find, wow, I can understand way more of what's going on. And that's what we want. So it's it's so annoying when you can't understand stuff, but what I figured out is it's actually not difficult to improve. So the first thing we need to establish is why you're actually bad at reading. There are a few different ways to measure how good you are at reading in a foreign language, such as you don't know most of the words, you don't understand what's going on, or you're slow and have to remember and piece things together. But before we go on, I just want you to understand that reading is a really difficult thing to do. You probably pick up a book in a foreign language and you see a bunch of words and you just assume that you should be able to understand what those words mean. But remember, you're looking at thousands of different words every time you read a page. I don't know how many words are on a page, it depends on the font size. You're looking at hundreds or thousands of different words, many of which you've never encountered before, in grammatical structures you've never seen before, conjugated in ways you've never seen before. It's so easy just to not understand what most of that stuff is and to not even have an idea of what's going on. So don't be too hard on yourself. It is a very difficult thing to be good at reading in a foreign language, and it takes time. The next thing I want you to understand is that problems equal opportunity. So whenever you can't understand something, whenever something is difficult, don't just get emotional. Every time you don't understand something, it is an opportunity to progress, because when you achieve your goal, when you're actually capable of speaking the foreign language you're learning, you'll of course be able to understand all of these easy things that you're struggling with right now. And so whenever you encounter something you can't understand, that is literally a stepping stone. That is an opportunity for you to get one step closer towards your goal by learning it. And getting frustrated and emotional is not the way to do that. If you don't know how to do it, you can journal, you can comment below, you can join my Discord server and ask people for help, or you can research the problem. But yeah, just don't get frustrated and emotional. It's a difficult thing to do, and I promise you will make progress. So now that we've addressed a few of those things, let's talk about how you can actually get better at reading. The first thing I want you to understand is that every text is different, and sometimes you don't know the words. So even if you are really good at reading, you could go back and read a fairly easy text that's talking about something you don't understand because you've just never encountered the words before. So a great thing you can do if you don't want to kill your motivation is to set short-term goals and target a specific text. So if you're reading I was going to say Harry Potter, but that's probably a bit difficult. Say you're reading some short story for beginners. That's not too hard, but it's difficult to understand. If you learn the words from reading that and you go and read a completely different book, it's kind of like you're going to start from zero again. Obviously, you'll know the words for like da and but you're going to encounter a bunch of words you don't know. If you read a short story and then you read another short story that's on a similar topic, say it's two stories about cooking, for example. I don't know, random thing that came into my head. A lot of the words are going to be the same because there's that kind of crossover because they're the same topic. So just remember, if you only know certain words and you read something without any of those words, you're not going to understand really what's going on. So just remember that first principle we talked about. Another thing I will recommend is the input repetition method. I've already made a video on it, so I have it linked below. But the input repetition method is basically where you read a text, you write down all the words you don't know, you memorize them with flashcards, and then you go back and reread it and you lock words into your brain through that method. It's super useful, so I will have it linked below. But yeah, that is another thing that can be good as well. I'd also say remember to live in line with your goals. So I'll give you a really quick story about something I did that was really dumb recently. So I am currently reading Harry Potter in Russian. I don't have, the one I'm reading at the moment isn't next to me. This is the second book. I'm reading the first one. But I'm reading that in Russian at the moment. And something I did, which was a bit of a ding-dong move, was I tried to speed read through chapters without actually going back and learning words I didn't understand. And this was really dumb because my goal is to learn Russian, not to read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or Harry Potter и Философский камень in record time, because that would be dumb. That's not actually in line with my goal. What I should have done, which I'm doing now, is going back and rereading stuff I don't understand, doing the input repetition method, which I just said, and actually learning new words and getting better at reading to get closer in my goal. I would objectively get closer to my goal if I did that stuff instead of being a ding-dong and trying to read through it really quickly. So make sure you do reread text and make sure you do live in line with your goal. Sometimes you're going to feel emotionally frustrated. You're not going to want to do stuff like reread text. But remember, you're doing stuff not because you emotionally feel like it right now, but because it'll pay off and it will bring you closer to your goal. So even if you can't understand what's going on, just do your best to reread and learn stuff. If you really can't understand what's going on, the text might be a little bit too difficult, and so you might have to step it back a level. As a general rule, you want to read at a comprehensive input level. So Not so hard you can't understand everything, but not so easy you understand everything. Obviously, if you want to read stuff where you understand everything, that's fine, but you're not going to learn as much because you're just not encountering stuff you don't understand. And yeah, the bottom line is it will get easier. Just stay consistent. Just keep doing it. Just like when you listen to like 200, I don't know where my face went there. Just like when you're listening to 200 videos in a foreign language and then finally on the 201st one, you can feel that you've noticeably gotten better. That's basically how it goes with reading as well. Just always be problem solving and don't be getting bloody frustrated and stuff like that, because that's not good. A few other things you can do as well, not a few other things, like one bonus tip. Writing out all the words from memory can be really good as well. So if you learn like 20 new words, you can write them all out from memory, and the translation as well if you want, just without actually looking at anything like flashcards, just to see how many you can get out, and you can mark your own work. You can write a story using those words. You can speak about those words and record yourself and listen back. You can do a bunch of different things. So yeah, just try and implement as many things as possible. It will get easier. If you need a hand, comment below. I've got my course, The Language Learning Accelerator, linked in the description. Thank you for watching and have a good one.